Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for spending your valuable time right here at the Adapt 2030 channel. Signs in the skies. You'd be looking for indicators after the Hunga Tonga eruption. Ozone depletion event underway. And if we follow the jet stream shifts after the year without a summer, Tambora eruption 1816, we start to see the same cool matchups. Northeast U.S. Have to disappear history. Demolish historic buildings. Oh, that'll help everything. Bertillie's map 1565 showing Antarctica ice-free. Are we looking at an ice age map? Kansas grain farmers. Wheat gonna get a little more expensive. That's why we bought turkeys and extra guinea fowl. Because you'll be responsible for your own protein source. 2022, the year the world will remember. Hunga Tonga eruption ejected water vapor into the mesosphere. You would expect with ice crystal clouds, disruptions, and strange sky phenomena as this thinned through the upper reaches of our atmosphere, and suddenly sky phenomena around us. This one comes from Russia. Sky phenomena and atmospheric phenomena will take many different ways, shapes, and forms. But we need to try to match an apple with an apple. The Tambora eruption of 1815 onset the year without a summer, and that blue line is the jet stream changes that brought dry, cold Arctic air into the Northeast U.S. far into the spring, even into the end of June where they had frosts. And here we see May 17th, freeze warnings where the dark purple is. Same exact spot, bingo. Are we repeating a pattern? Because when we look at the temperatures here, and that was on May 18th, below freezing, and people had put their gardens out already. This is going to be a agricultural freeze out. I wonder how many people had to start over and replant. Now, is it a good idea to replant? Yeah, we're into June now, but will there be another freeze event? It's expected to cool down in the next couple weeks yet again. History does repeat. And during the Hunga Tonga eruption, pushing water vapor to 180,000 feet into the mesosphere. The ice crystal clouds are the very surface that ozone breaks down, so you would expect early, heavy, runaway ozone depletion. Now remember, the ozone hole normally doesn't reach its max thinness until October. We are well ahead of that already. And when the UVB starts striking the ground, destroying crops around the southern hemisphere, I wonder how that'll be run into higher food pricing. Also, if we're looking for sulfur dioxide concentrations and how that cools on the ground directly, look no further than South Africa. The big red-black blob there, that's over 100 grams per cubic meter. And then we see, follow the line down to the cooler than average. It's a direct relationship of sulfur dioxide and cooling, but this is water vapor we were talking about. So it does seem something strange is afoot at the Circle K, the bottom of our planet. Now really take into consideration what you're seeing out there now. What is the news and the media talking about? Food shortages. And now we have to come into a reduction of food. It's all about the nitrogen. It's all about the CO2. We need to pull it back. Agriculture needs to be reined in. At the same time, we're going into some sort of anomaly that's going to affect agriculture in the southern hemisphere. Also, these jet streams are changing in the northern hemisphere, based on eruptive data from the past to give us some indication of where to go in the future. And suddenly the entire planet shifts on a dime. Food, food, food. We need to regulate the food. Look what happened to the Dutch farmers. Now they're talking about the American farmers. Now they're talking about nitrogen fertilizers across the planet. Rice is in jeopardy. Stop producing rice. It's too much methane with the water there sitting. I cannot believe how quickly it shifted, and it's right on the same time scale of all these things manifesting into food shortages, yet everything else in the narrative side is pushing into food shortages as well, explaining away why food's going to get more expensive, less available. And you thought it was all a coincidence. Hey friends, I notice I'm having more energy and mental focus when I take C60 Evo. Their C60 Evo organic olive oil is delicious. I take it on a spoon in the morning. Sometimes I also put their MCT coconut oil in my coffee. Gives my morning a good boost. My pets love C60 Evo oils too. The face and lip serums are potent products that really work. Check out the testimonials on their website. Invest in yourself, your pets, and those you love with C60 Evo because you're worth it. Feel focused, energetic, and rested today. C60evo.com/adapt2030. You're going to enjoy discounts on bundled items and monthly subscriptions. Use the promo code ADAPT2030 at checkout to take an additional 10% off your order. That's C60evo.com/adapt2030. And now on with the video. Let's look at Voss Stock, my favorite temperature station from Antarctica. We'll go back to 1958. Temperature negative 65 degrees Celsius is the average. And where do we sit along that line? Well, if we come over here to 2023, I see that in the 1970s it was higher. In the 1960s it was higher. I don't know. You tell me what you see. It's just the gold data set from surface temperatures across Voss Stock. But what else does this have in common too? You saw the commonality of up and down below that baseline temperature. So what else do we see here with a commonality of things that could happen to our planet from 1966 to present? What do you see that has a commonality there? Oil gone in 10 years, famine by 1975, new ice age by 2000, ozone depletion, we're rolling back into that was chlorofluorocarbons, not a mesospheric ice crystal cloud eruption. Sea level will obliterate nations by the year 2000. Arctic ice free by 2018. Oh, 2015. Oh, it was 2013 before. Only 500 days left. Higher taxes, higher taxes, higher taxes, tax. I bet we could make a song out of that if somebody really tried. Staying on the theme of food, Kansas grain farmers abandon crops hit by drought and severe cold. Stocks of the world's fifth largest wheat exporter are expected to fall to a 16-year low, which means to me, higher food prices. Yeah, you see where it's going. Every single article is pushing that direction. So this is in Lincoln, Nebraska, going back to 1887. This is moisture. And what do we see here? 1934, Dust Bowl era, was a little bit lower in moisture than this year by 2/100ths of an inch. Fourth driest on record. So that's saying something. And now you can see why the farmers are going to abandon their crops. Cold and drought. But this should flip with the onset of El Nino, which generally brings more moisture in there. This is a well-known pattern for grain traders, commodities brokers, etc. When the El Nino sets on, there's generally more thunderstorm activity through those same areas, which will bring more moisture. But that's going to be 6 months away. We're just coming out of a triple La Nina. Only one other time prior, back in the 1880s, has this happened. So there's all these once in 150-year events concurrent, running on top of each other to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. It's going to be a fair few months until El Nino onsets and that precipitation pattern changes across our central grow zone here in the United States. That would also include up into parts of Canada, where they're growing wheat, canola, etc. Food prices up and up. That's why we decided to get turkeys. We're going to have reliance on our own egg production and meat production. So what we're looking at currently is raising these turkeys for eggs to then hatch. At that point, when we have an abundance of them, then we can think about turning them into meat birds. Additionally, we have a couple guinea fowl in there. Those are for pest control around the farm and alarms as well. Guinea fowl is well known. If anything's out of place, they start making a lot of noise. And guess what? We've had our first baby chick emerge out from the hatcher. This is a one-day-old barred rock, which we put in the towel and brought it out into a warmer spot there. Bouncing full of energy, but you can see it can be done, and this is the reliance we're going to have to go old school. You grow, you hatch, you prepare your own, you grow your own. That's the world we're heading back into for a minute here. But what I find really interesting inside this whole debate about, reductions in nitrogen fertilizer, caps on this, meat only 10 grams per serving in Germany, which I'll bring in the next video. Europe could achieve net zero by demolishing historic buildings and starting again. So what they're saying is the old ones, they're running with old pipes that need heating from a central region, which usually burns some sort of fossil fuel to put the heating system in. But if they rip all these down and they start new with glass and all this high tech and solar panels on the roof, we can go to net zero. But I'm thinking, how many trucks is that going to take to rip that thing down? Where would they take it to anyway, landfill style? And then how much is it going to cost to manufacture the materials to then reconstruct the building on the same site? And then put all the new green energy gizmos on it. Like, what's the break-even point from that? 50, 75 years in the future? Or are they trying to hide history? Italy, I have this one here. Rome, left side, 1880. What did they find buried under there? Oh, wait, a whole nother cultural layer. And on the right side, we have a clock tower in Delhi, India. What's being hidden from our history here? And why are there so many layers? Does it have anything to do with magnetic anomalies and global liquefaction events on cycles that are predictable? So let's stay over on the subcontinent. 1932, you would just think, wow, that's a couple little catacombs or something. But after it was cleaned out, look what was buried. So what caused that 10-foot deep or more layer of mud and silt to be pushed in there? And we see this across the planet routinely. Everywhere you look, it's the normal, not the exception. Can you say mud flood? I can. Now let's jump over onto source maps. Bertillie's map of 1565. Interesting facts. North America, Asia are not separated. That tip of South America nearly connects to Antarctica. Oh wait, Antarctica wasn't discovered until the 1800s, and look at that ice-free showing you the mountain ranges. What's going on? Blow it up a little bit and look for some other anomalies. What do you think we can find? If we start on the far right side of the map, I see Indonesia far, far larger. Those are Ice Age maps. Not a full glaciation. But after some of the onset into this interglacial had begun before the Younger Dryas. And we also see in the center of Africa there, North Africa, mega lakes. Now those were not supposed to be there any earlier than 6,000 years prior. So we can see river systems and mega lakes. So this map has to be at least source map 6,000 years prior at the minimum. I don't know how many maps are that old, but the connection from South America down to Antarctica on an ice-free mappable mountain range set there is just, wait a minute. And our timelines for human history are not clean at all. Please remember, plate tectonics. You know, we're supposed to move in this much every year and they separate and all that. But Japan jumped 8 feet. Remember that 9.0 earthquake, Fukushima, all that happening? 8 feet in a single event. Now, what if we go back in time and that occurs every 200 years, and there are other wider events where something might move 8 kilometers in a single event, or 80 kilometers? You know, when we go further back in history with all these cataclysms that have been recorded, and who knows what happened during the Younger Dryas era, imagine if those maps were pre-Ice Age maps or somewhere around that time. Technology was still there. Coming out of the Ice Age, that technology was advanced enough that they could map the Earth. So the meltwater started to rise, boom, and then we get hit with the Younger Dryas impact. Now, what kind of cataclysm or Earth movements could occur during that time? Like what that map shows could very well the way it was, but the millions of years of moving of plate tectonics is not millions of years. So again, this whole timeline, why do they want to destroy all the buildings now? Is that to just really get rid of the remnants so we can't find the Antiquitech? Pass it on to the next generation. Hey, keep looking, the Antiquitech's there. There's this hidden chapter of history, electrogravitics, electroculture. I don't know, it's a strange world we're moving into, but it does seem like the cycle's culminating right now as we get faster into Aquarius. We're coming into the CBDCs. We got the magnetic anomalies set up for 2024. The runaway ozone depletion event here at the end of this year. Food prices increasing, and everywhere you look, there's going to be a scatter wave interference pattern of overwhelm in the mind. And perhaps that's what it's supposed to be, so you won't focus on the cycle and the power you have during this time to manifest reality around you. I'll leave you with that thought. And also that those types of thoughts are what Ransom Godwin and myself throw out every single Thursday night, 10 p.m. to midnight, Revolution Radio. You can go to libertylinks.io/solar minimum, and any of those platforms we are broadcasting live or streaming out there. You can join us, join the chat box, people of like mind discussing ideas. 2 hours, hope to see you there. And also, time to grow food. TrueLeafMarket.com, heirloom and organic seeds for any grow zone on the planet. All those links are in the description box below. I appreciate you watching. Hope you got something out of the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.